on in 3, 2, 1.
This is Packard Pokset, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fun edition of Packard Pokset. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining us tonight from our my little vacation. So if you showed up to the show last week and I wasn't here, not my fault. You didn't come to the show the week before and find out we were going to be here. So, but partially my fault for not remember to say it in all the do-overs and the do-overs we had for the previous week. Joining us tonight, though, is on my far left is Dan Rel Unrelated Johnson.
Let it not be said there are no more leftists in this country.
Oh, okay. I can't think of anything for that one. Joining us from the far left coast is Medusa Rants.
Here meditating, and welcome to the temple.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, like hello, man.
Yes.
Welcome to the jungle. As long as Axel's not involved.
That's right. And joining us from the far right of the coast, not the far right side of the political spectrum, but the right coast would be Joe Unseen.
I know what you're thinking. Why, oh why, didn't I pick the blue pill?
That's right. Oh, we're going to be in for a good show tonight, I think.
So everybody's all wound up.
Yes. We got a lot of good stories for tonight. I had a wonderful time on vacation. I only could afford one day, but one day was more than enough. All right, well, let's get into our first story for this evening. Now, there's a lot of talk from, it was last week that they had the Bose-Hignon, the God particle, which I really wish people would stop calling it the God particle because it's not.
Well, God made it, so.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, dog did it.
His name is right on it. God, hello.
I think his dog did it, really.
Just lifted his leg, and there's the God particle.
Yeah, there it was. No, but the thing was, everybody went crazy over this, and it turns out that there's other scientists saying that this possibility that this God particle is not that. It's maybe something different. So they spent $9 billion to find this, and they already said they're only 99.9999999% sure, which means, and there's a commercial out that goes, so you're not sure, so you don't know. It's a typical guy thing. You're 99.9999% sure? No, that means you don't know. No, if you're not 100% sure, you're just not 100% sure. That's just, you just don't know. But they're saying that this particle could very well be something else altogether. And it's when you're talking quantum physics, and most of this is just math. It's not even hands-on science in some cases, but most of it is just math. They cannot figure out. They're not figure out, but they're not 100% sure. And until it becomes 100% sure, like I'm 100% sure that this is glass, then we'll have a whole other issue. Or well, not issue, but science progresses. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, that was the whole thing with. You probably heard in the during the day before the official announcement, and during that day, they were talking about references to Sigma 4 and Sigma 5, and that has to do with the percentage of their certainty that what they found is what they think they found. So Sigma 5 goes out an extra decimal place to their certainty. So and that's pretty much as close to 100% as they want to call it,
Yeah.
But it's always possible that they're wrong, and that it might be one of the other possibilities of subatomic particles that could give an indication that they are the Higgs boson, but actually aren't.
Yeah.
But they've pretty strongly ruled that out.
Yeah.
But that's the way science works. If it comes out, a couple years down the road that oops, we made a mistake and this was actually this, okay, we made a mistake and we're going to change the bindings now.
Yes.
It's self-correcting. Let's
Yes.
put it that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I like about science, because if we get something wrong, hey, that's okay. We learned something. That we learned that we thought was A was actually Q. Move on. Let's see your thoughts.
Well, no, I'm totally confused.
That's all right. That's
But
it's
I'm
science.
always confused during tech.
Yes.
Yeah. They say something here about an imposter. What is that all about?
It was wearing funny glasses and a little nose mustache, and
Oh, one of those gizmos.
no, they're saying that the particle that they found there that might actually not be. It might be something else. It may not be the particle that they're actually looking for. It
It's
may,
not
but
the dog particle that
Right.
everybody got excited about.
right. So no, people are getting overexcited for no reason because the
Well,
whole
I'm
particles.
currently not excited, so that would be a good thing.
Yes.
I'm in the right crowd.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to go with that
Okay, that works.
as my final thoughts.
All right, that's fine.
From the West Coast.
There
That's
you
how
go.
we feel.
There you go. Joe, your thoughts?
This is why science is peer-reviewed. Science is an ongoing story of discovery. What we thought we knew can be challenged by new evidence. And while this article isn't necessarily saying it isn't the God particle, they're just proposing new ideas of what it might be.
Right.
And the way I heard this best described, I was watching a news clip about this, and a physicist said that they didn't necessarily detect the particle, they detected the trace of the particle. So it's kind of like finding the imprint of a fossil with no fossil there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really good way of describing it. And
I
so
like
yes.
that.
Yeah.
maybe they found the Higgs boson. They think they definitely found a boson. It probably is the Higgs, but they're not 100% certain. So
Yeah. I'd rather
They don't
I'd rather
have
have
the
not
fossil.
100% certain, because this way we know at least that they're going to still continue to look and see if what they found is
as
exactly
they
what it should be.
because that's what science is about.
Yes.
exactly.
Peer review, peer review, peer review.
Plus, nothing is absolutely certain.
No.
No, and continuing the journey is what's important.
Yes. So even if they came out yesterday, if they came out yesterday, if they came out tomorrow and said, yeah, it was 100% sure, I'd still say, keep checking, guys.
Yeah.
That's just like that whole light thing that they were saying that the neutrinos were passing faster than light, and they said no, it's not, because it was just an error, because that's why it was the peer review. Okay, let's get into our next story here. Now, Obama has signed an order which is outlining the emergency internet control. Now, they said that the new order is supposed to address the internet so they can get out and make a broadcast or whatever over the internet in case of times of natural disaster or national security or whatever. I'm like, what does the government have to say that's going to take up all the bandwidth in the whole country? I mean, I'm doing a podcast. We're just doing a podcast show here, and we're not taking up all that much bandwidth. I'm still broadcasting. I could have 10,000 people in the chat room, and it would still cost the same amount of bandwidth. Do they need all that bandwidth, really? But no, it's nice that to know one thing, though, that he can decide to. The order doesn't take place for at least 30 days, and he can amend it or withdraw it or issue an overriding order on it at any time. So this way he can say, maybe I wasn't right about this, and we should get rid of it or replace it with something better. But this whole shut off the internet thing kind of gives me the whole Iran thing that went on. Where they tried to shut down something because they didn't like it, and they shut out most of the internet accidentally in the process. Dan, your thoughts?
My first thought is this one little section they were talking about, the reasoning behind it. This one little section has got to be one of the longest sentences I've ever read in any of these things.
Have you read my blog?
I mean, okay, well, here's the sentence in question. Survivable, resilient, enduring, and effective communications, both domestic and international, are essential to enable the executive branch to communicate within itself and with the legislative and judicial branches, state, local, territorial, and tribal governments, private sector entities, and the public, allies, and other nations. Full stop.
Oh, God.
You know, it's people are making it out to sound like, oh, they're going to censor the internet. No, they're not going to censor the internet. All they're saying is that if there's an emergency, they want to make sure that they can get communications through to other governmental entities. End of story. You know, the wording of the thing is kind of bizarre,
cumbersome.
but it's the typical legalese that we get out of Washington these days.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like I'm gonna have a geek moment here.
Go ahead.
There was an old episode of Star Trek Next Generation. They had to deal with these creatures. They had really long wording for every little detail, and they had like 10,000 lawyers working on something just so they could deal with these creatures. And this is kind of what this reminds me of, is because they've got so many there's so much lawyerese in there that it's, and the length of it alone, it just to make sure that there's no, discrepancies or whatever. Medusa, your thoughts?
Well, having been a lawyer, I say, what's the problem? It's cumbersome legalese. Yes, it is. That wraps itself in nothing. It really is. I don't see the point of him signing an order outlining emergency internet control. It puts America in complete control of the internet, and I don't like being in that position.
Oh yeah, neither do I. If they don't like something, that just censors whole. If something comes up that they don't like, then they're censoring. They can censor free speech, and they're trying to. I think that the whole issue there is that someone out there is trying to. It does not like some of the stuff that's out on the internet, and they want to find a way to just be able to shut it off at a whim. And what if they get to I'm going to play devil's advocate even more on this.
Sure.
What if they can pinpoint right to an ISP alone, say, hey, we got a problem with an ISP out in Wausau that Packard pokes at. They're saying the things about the government here, so let's just shut it out and we'll shut him off.
Live free, die hard.
Yes.
Life imitates art. They found his ISP, and he needed Bruce Willis to save him. That's what I have to say.
Oh yeah.
Make movies out here on the West Coast,
Yeah. Oh,
so
speaking of movies, they're just totally out of left field. They're gonna be. Supposedly they're talking a sequel to Twins.
Oh no, don't do that. That was bad. They did.
That was back in the 80s.
Not a sequel, but a remake of The Thing, which I've never watched.
I've never seen that one. I've never seen that movie.
But we make movies, and so that's
yes, you guys are good at making movies out there. That's for sure. Maybe we can make a movie. Shut down the internet.
That's pretty much what we're looking at here.
Yeah, basically. And I hope that if they just comes, I hope they put some real life lessons into the movie so they can say, hey, see, this is what's going to happen if you do that, because this is a stupid idea. Joe, your thoughts?
In the Twin sequel, is Schwarzenegger going to have an illegitimate child with his housekeeper?
I have no idea.
Oh, so wait.
DeVito will be like, "Oh, well, I told you not to do that. You know, she's your housekeeper."
No, there was in the tweet I saw, it said there was a rumor that Eddie Murphy was the third brother. It's like, I was like, really? You were gonna go there?
I'm just drinking good Pepsi.
I was like, I think that's just a rumor. I think that's just a rumor. But
He's not my love child.
That's the name of Bruce Willis's love child.
Yeah.
I guess back to the story.
Yes, get back to the story.
The one thing that I got caught up in this article was it said that the government would have a kill switch for the internet in the event of a natural disaster.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Wouldn't you want people to
all
use the
right,
internet
people are trying to get in touch with their loved ones. A tornado just hit. A hurricane is coming. Let's turn off the internet.
There you go.
That makes no sense to me.
And I know that I saw that too. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. You know, they'll have to go back to the old Morse code.
I remember that.
Or you get the people who the hams. You know, it's like, oh, we got to turn everything. They haven't yet been able to figure out exactly how to block them. So
Yeah.
Hey,
And
good buddy.
in the event of a real emergency, the first ISPs I would be reporting to the government would be Wasilla, Wisconsin. So
yes.
all of them, the whole town, just shut it down.
Just shut
They're
it down.
a problem.
Wausau, it's actually not Wasilla.
Oh, Wasilla. Okay.
Wasilla's in Alaska. That's where what's her name lives.
Oh, so she's not your neighbor.
I hope not. She can't see Russia from her house from here.
She can't see your house from Russia.
I can't see my house from my house.
Stop. Let's just go back to the topic.
Let's go back to dial-up. Let's get into our next topic.
What would that be?
Now, there's been a lot of talk over the Obamacare, and a lot of Republicans are like pushing hard against it. And a lot of people that I've talked to, they say, "Oh, well, Obamacare is bad because they're listening to all the crap that's out on TV, and because they're pushing all these." Saying, "Oh, Medicaid, the Obamacare is the highest national tax that ever in this country, in the world, ever set." It's like, do you people not read history, really? Because the highest tax rate that's ever been pushed out was by Reagan. Look it up. If you don't believe me, don't believe me. Look it up. Call Google, my friends. Use Google. But the thing here is, they're also.
Is that what Google's used for?
Yes.
No.
No, it's for pornography. No, but what they're doing, a lot of states, a lot of the red states, with the red governors in there, and we should just paint them all red. We don't have to worry about figuring out which ones they are. But the governors in the states that are run by Republicans, mine included, unfortunately, when this comes into fruition, they're going to say, "No, we don't want it. We don't want that stimulus money we don't want that money for that." Turning this down is the stupidest thing ever heard, because it saves so much money in the long run that it just doesn't make any sense. What part of that don't they understand? Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just more of the party of no.
Yes.
If Obama came out on television tomorrow morning and said the sun rose in the east and the sky is blue, there would be Republicans wanting to argue with him about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anything that he does is going to be evil and heinous and the worst thing ever. It doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the way they're going to act for a long time.
Yeah.
And until the election's over and Democrats take back majority in the Senate.
Oh, I hope they do. I hope they do. And if Obama gets reelected president, and I'm really hoping he does, I mean, they're still not going to stop. They're going to try. Then they're going to try to do. Let's impeach Obama. Well, if they'll find any reason to do it, and It just
Yeah, I mean, there was some guy that I was talking to on Twitter. I think it was last night, maybe the night before. Reverend Xavier, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
was talking to some guy down in
yes.
Georgia
Reverend
or
X.
Alabama, who was going on about how Obama's going to make this a turning it into a socialist country, and da 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 da. And it's like, oh, really? By gosh, I wish he would. I'd kind of like that. For those of us who actually know what socialism is,
yeah.
you know, you're coming off sounding pretty stupid, and those of us who know what socialism is and like it are going to be voting Socialist Equality Party anyway. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
It just, the Republicans, I don't know what really goes through their heads. They think, I don't think half of them think about what the full consequences is. They just follow the party lines. There's the old saying goes, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line, and that's the only way they like to live. Medusa, your thoughts?
No, well, the last good Republican we had was Abraham Lincoln, as I recall. And
Abraham Lincoln was a Republican?
yeah,
Well, I think we've had a few Republicans since then.
Hey, Teddy
Yeah.
Roosevelt was a Republican.
So was Nixon.
yeah,
And
we've
Reagan.
had a few.
Yeah, we've had a few.
So, that were good.
Oh, you mean
but-
said that we were good? Oh, yeah, then we have to go back to Lincoln.
Teddy Roosevelt. He was a good
Roosevelt,
president.
yeah,
Going back,
Roosevelt,
I'm reaching really far. But yeah, you know, I mean, this happened in California, and so they're just the party of hate,
Mhm.
and they're the party of negativism, and they feel proud of it.
Yes.
They that's the part that astounds me, you guys, is that they feel proud of the negativity, and they feel proud of the hate, and they feel proud of the filibuster and the no and the conundrum, and they want to make it as mystifying. They want to make politics as mystifying as possible, so that people will vote for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and they like to use not only just hate, but they also like to use terror. Basically, they're like, because if you remember the last few elections, like, oh, we got to make sure we don't get the terror. We got to fight them over there because the terrorists are going to come over here and they're going to blow everything up. And it's like, so you better be afraid, be very, very afraid. If you let Obama in there, he's going to let the terrorists come over here and he's going to let everything be blown up. It's like,
And before you know it, it's going to be the devils out there, because we've defeated everybody else. And so the devil's out there to fight.
yeah,
That's what's going to happen. We've defeated everybody else, every terrorist there is, and there's no terrorists left. And so these evangelical politicians, and that's what they are, evangelical politicians, are just going to rise up and say, the devil's out there.
yeah.
And we got to fight the devil.
Yeah, and they think it's Obama. I mean,
Yeah.
the problem is they look in the mirror and they keep painting off the horns. So
Yes, yes. Pretty soon it's going to be them.
yeah, exactly. Joe, your thoughts?
This seems like a no-brainer. I mean, if it's going to save your state money and more people have health insurance, then why not do it?
Yeah,
It just seems to me to be another case of politics before people, which I think is, kind of unpatriotic.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a dick move too.
It's a dick move.
I
is.
can't say that because I don't have one.
It's a dick move.
Fair.
They said, screw the filibuster, let's do the dick move.
That's right.
Okay, you put screw in there. I can
That's
abide by
that's
that.
basically what it is. I mean, they're just being a dick when because of this stuff. Really.
God, you guys. You dicks.
So they're cock-blocking health insurance.
Yes.
I'm going to write that down as the title for the show.
Okay, you do that. No, but I mean, when I say that, I mean they're just being asinine. There's just really no other better way to say it. They're just being asinine, and they're just trying to show, hey, we're in charge here, and or we're gonna throw our weight around. And if you ever looked at half the fat cats of the Republicans, they weigh more than I do, and so they've got a lot of weight to throw around. So anyway,
Are you saying Republicans have a weight problem?
yes.
So now you're against people with weight problems.
No, I'm just against Republicans. I've got a weight problem. I'm not against people with weight problems. I have one. I have one too. So
I have a weight problem. It's called Rush Limbaugh.
yes, that too.
I have a weight problem. It's called Glenn Beck.
Yeah, there you go.
Fox News is my weight problem.
Oh. Anyway, let's get into the next story here. Out in California, they did something really intelligent that I was shocked when I read this, that California legislature had approved a resolution to oppose the Citizen United ruling that the SCOTUS had signed into law. They said basically, no, corporations are not people. Corporations should not be allowed to put forth as much money as they want to and be able to buy an election. They did this. We were talking about out in Montana. They did this. They had this already on the books, and the SCOTUS, or not SCOTUS, but the Citizens United came out there and said, no, we got to have lots of money going to these corporations. See, they knew. And California must have looked at that and said, hey, they had it right. So take your money and put it where the sun don't shine, because it is not going to fly here. Because corporations should not have unlimited funds to be able to push up any politician, whether Republican or Democrat. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, individuals have limits on how much they can donate to a person's fund for their election. Why is it that corporations should not have such a limit? It makes no sense at all, and it was very much partisan politics, as was as was a lot of the decision making in the court we have right now.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy to see that the state senate in California is coming out, speaking out against this, putting their votes behind it, saying this is not something that we're going to put up with.
Right.
So hopefully it goes much further than this, and other state legislatures will follow suit and come around to that side. I think, again, though, it's going to be a very partisan division. The so-called blue states and red states will be very polarized on this issue, as so many others.
Oh yes, absolutely, and it really has polarized this country. That where everything has gone. It's just, I don't know why Citizen United was able to get this pushed through so easily. I mean, anybody with half a brain could say, hey, corporations should not be allowed to be able to donate unlimited amounts of money, because they can make unlimited amounts of money. I mean, literally, if you have a very successful business, Walmart, Sears, McDonald's, whatever, because these are big businesses, and they should not be able to go, oh, all we got to do is sell 2 more hamburgers and we can buy the presidency. Oops, we weren't supposed to say that. It's just really strange that they but I'm just glad that they made the right decision out of this. Medusa, your thoughts?
Well, we're thinkers out here in California. We sit around, think about things like this, and come to a conclusion that is, right for everybody, and sets a standard for people to follow.
Yes.
And I just think I'm very proud of my state. That's what I would like to say.
There you go.
I'm very proud of my state.
Yes, and today, and as when they signed this into law, it was voted 24-11. That you had a lot to be proud of, and usually with the stuff that's happened out in California with the some of the laws that got passed out there. I saw this really surprised me, but I'm just so glad that they were able to do it. Joe, your thoughts?
Woo, California.
Yes.
Thank you.
I agree with you, Packard. When I read this article, I was just like, wow, California is going for the gold here. They want to amend the U.S. Constitution to get around the Supreme Court ruling, and that's no easy task.
No.
The Constitution
No.
hasn't seen a ratified amendment since 1992.
Yes.
So it's been 20 years. It's crazy. And the last amendment that got through was Congress isn't allowed to enjoy their pay raises until the next Congress comes into session.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's something that had been like proposed since like 1780 something.
Wow.
So yeah, it's no easy task to ratify to amend the
No.
Constitution.
I'll just go up there with a pen. And I'll just scratch out what I don't like. I'll just put in some other stuff. See, it'd be amended now.
You only need 2/3 of the state to agree with you then. 2/3 of all the states, I should say.
Oh, well, I'll just go over to their houses and I'll just say, here, sign this.
That's his vacation.
That was my whole vacation, just walk around the whole state, house to house. People didn't like it when I was knocking at the door at 2 a.m., but
There's insomnia.
I was up, hey, the zombies were out. Figured it out. No.
They're like, are you the guy from the pool? I saw you earlier.
Yeah, that'd be me, yeah. Had a lot of fun at that pool, too. All right, well,
Boys' night.
what's that?
I said it's a boys' night tonight. It's
always
fun.
yes. It's always a good boys' night. Okay, well, let's get into our next topic.
Give me the news.
Now, there's a guy out, and his name is Thomas Daigle, and he paid off the last of his mortgage with pennies. I have heard of a lot of people doing stuff like this, or at least attempting to. They say, I'm going to do is I'm going to just pay off all my whole phone bill or my whole electric bill with pennies and let them count it out. This guy actually did it. He spent many years saving all his the penny. He said when he was coming out after he got his mortgage, he said, "Oh, I found a penny. I picked it up," and they said, "I'm going to start saving on these things." And I've always told people, say, if you find a penny, pick it up. Heads down or heads up, don't matter. It's still a penny. It's still worth something. And people go, and people will pitch pennies. They'll throw them away. Oh, like, what do I need this for? It's only a penny. It adds up. And my video just froze. Oh, there it goes. Nice little tech glitch. Anyway, but the guy, he saved up so much. Each box, there was like 4 or 5 boxes of pennies. They weighed 200 pounds, just over 200 pounds. And it took took the bank rather, it took them over 2 days to unwrap all the pennies and then count them out. 2 days. 2 days.
And that's really fast because it took him 35 years to roll them all.
Yes. It'd be funnier if they took 35 years to count them all. We're just giving you a little extension on that mortgage.
Some marriages.
What's that? Yeah, that last. Yeah, mine didn't last that long.
As it did mine.
Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, there have been some instances where a bank or a company has refused to accept payment in pennies because it is while it is legal tender for all debts, public and private, it's able to be refused on certain grounds like this. But I get the impression that the bank in this case knew about it ahead of time, knew what the guy had planned for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't an idea to make it hard on the bank. It was something that this guy was doing as kind of a symbol over the years, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they were 62,000 pennies in military grade steel boxes and totaled over 400 pounds altogether.
Yeah.
And that's pretty outrageous.
Was it 2 boxes or was it 4 boxes? I forget.
But it's they're running these things through automatic counters, and those automatic counters go pretty quick. So
Yes.
you can imagine how
Yeah.
long it took to count 62,000 pennies through that thing.
Yeah,
Gosh,
that's a lot.
that's a lot of pennies.
Yeah, I think you're right there. But a lot of people would say, no, we're not going to take your pennies, because at least at that amount, because because there's a lot of work involved. It's not like you can just go and write a check or you hand over cash. You go, okay, done. It's at least the guy didn't bring in a pig with the check written on the side.
I wonder how he did bring in the pennies. I mean, was it on crates with wheels? I mean,
No, these were in steel containers, military foot lockers, and he brought them in on a dolly, I believe.
They look like
Wow.
ammo cans.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite something to see that much. One thing's for sure, no one's gonna rob him. I mean, you're gonna. What do you got in here, pennies?
and you just happen to have 62,000 pennies.
Right.
That this man
It's
has
$62,000 in pennies.
Was it
Yes.
$62,000 in pennies? Yeah, that's still a lot of pennies.
That's still a lot
That's
of
that's one
pennies.
way to make sure you never get robbed. You just carry around with pennies.
collected in socks. Want people up on the head.
You just drop your pennies on your attacker. Like, oh, you want this?
Boom.
Cheers, baby.
There's a guy with a lot on his mind. Medusa, your thoughts?
Well, I was kind of sprinkling my thoughts in with yours there. That's a lot of darn pennies there. What was his reason behind collecting so many pennies?
It was just a symbol. It was just a symbol for him to say, hey, we're just going to keep saving our pennies. Because he just walked out of the bank and he just saw the first one and go, we should start saving these. We're going to save every penny we can just so we can pay off this mortgage. And he quite literally decided to take it to heart and said, I'm putting these all in pennies. So
That's really remarkable what he did.
yes.
That's just pretty incredible. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Okay.
Wow. It's a lot of darn pennies.
Yes, it is. Joe, your thoughts?
While what this guy did is kind of cool, he didn't hear about penny hoarding. Have you heard about that?
Penny
It's where the-
hoarders? No. I
No,
haven't
penny
seen that
hoarding.
on TV
What people
yet.
are doing is the older pennies, not the newer ones, which are mostly zinc, but the older ones are
with
mostly
the-
copper.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can't melt
they
them
have
down
the
for the
little
copper
leaves
because the
on
mint still makes them. But if the mint discontinues them, like Canada just did, or is going to do later this year or next year, then you can melt them down. And so the pennies are worth more than face value. And people are hoarding them in their basements and their garages.
Really?
They're going from
Yeah.
bank to bank to bank looking for the old pennies, like the dark ones, not the shiny ones,
Ah.
because they're mostly
Right.
copper. They're like 95% copper.
What
And
years
they're waiting for the day where the mint will say, okay, we're not making pennies anymore, and then boom, cash in.
Yeah. Well, they,
So
they
this
can't
guy's
take
sitting on 35-year-old pennies, and he had no idea what he had.
he probably had even more the value even more. I mean, if each penny was like say 3 cents more.
Yeah, the last article I could find on it, it was like 0.024 cents for each penny
Wow.
for the copper ones. And people are actually rolling up the old copper pennies and selling them on eBay for twice face value.
Wow. That's kind
Yeah,
of cool.
that's incredible.
That's
My dad used to save those pennies. We would go through the change at the end of the day, after you've spent your money, and we would look for those specifically
yeah.
with the leaves on them that were
The wheat
darker.
pennies.
I remember
Yeah, the wheat
that.
pennies. Oh, I used to do that too.
I still look for wheat pennies.
Yeah, I haven't found any in a
I
long
do
time.
too.
I found a silver quarter in my coin jar like 2 weeks ago.
Sweet.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
it was awesome. 1953. I was like, score, solid silver.
Nice.
Oh, or what about getting a JFK 50 cent piece, or were they $1?
It was a quarter. It was just a 25-cent quarter, but it's made of silver.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Mhm.
cool. All right. Well,
I think they retail for like $7 now.
wow, that's something. Let's get into our next story here. Let's keep things moving along, guys. He goes into the convenience store, and he hunts around, picks up a bag of chips, goes to pay for it, and then he pulls out a gun. And while he's robbing the store, his mother just happens to be walking into the store. She sees him pulling out the gun, grabs the gun away from him, and says, "Hey, it's not a real gun. You know, don't call the cops." You know, it's like there's a lot of things my mother's done to me when I was a kid, but not that I've ever robbed a bank or anything, but or a store, but to come up to him or anything like that. But the walk goes like, "What are you doing, boy? Get over there! You get that stuff. Don't be doing that." What are you, stupid?
Ain't you got no fetching up?
And you got no sense in your head? Get out of here. You go home. I'll deal with you when I get home.
The cheese done slid off your cracker, boy.
Exactly.
I don't think
Well,
you
it's like,
had
what
the
was
cheese
going
on your cracker.
it was just so funny that the fact is that the kid or the guy had his mother came and steal the gun away from him in the middle of it. But they called the cops anyway, and the guy was arrested, and he was, you know, for attempted robbery. Fake gun or not, it's still a felony. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is pretty funny. You know,
It's precious.
I can see Mom going, you know, I raised you better than that, damn it.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, here the guy goes in and pulls a plastic gun on the cashier, and his mom goes in and smacks it out of his hand.
I thought she actually literally just ripped it out of his hand from what I saw.
I think so, yeah. And
She did.
it was all caught on video, too.
Yeah.
So it was very, very cool.
Yeah. I just couldn't believe that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Really? Of all the things I've seen. You just when you think you saw everything, you find something new you've seen. Oh, just so strange. Medusa, your thoughts?
Well, that just goes to prove that mothers have eyes in the back of their heads.
Or a
That
sixth
means
sense.
Scientific proof now.
Or a sixth
that we
sense.
have eyes in the back of our heads, and we show up at the perfect time to stop you from your nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I think they sometimes they have a sixth sense more than the eyes in the back of the head, because that would just look creepy.
Oh, gosh. It's a good thing she was there. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, because it could have really gone out of. It really could have gotten out of hand. That let's say the cashier had a gun back there, and a lot of places do, and they pulled out a real gun and shot him, and he could have been killed. It was very possible. Dan, or not Dan, Joe, your thoughts?
The gun was fake, so I'm reminded of that scene in Trading Spotting. How could it be armed robbery with a replica? But yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's still armed robbery, and like you said, how is the cashier supposed to know difference? That kid could have gotten his head blown off.
Yes,
So
easily.
bravo to his mom for being there and doing what she did, even though she kind of protected him from getting arrested, but he was still arrested.
Yep. It was just pure happenstance that she just happened to walk in the same store. I'm going down to the store to get some groceries. Okay. You know, I think he forgot to get me some chips.
I can only imagine what she said. Like, what do you think you're doing? What? No, what do you think you're doing? He's standing there with like a gun held up to somebody's head. Like, what?
What? I just wanted to get some. I just wanted to keep the cash from the chips. Really? Come on now. Well, he walked out of the store with the chips there, but he did pay for them, so they can't.
That was so weird. I saw that too. He's like, got the chips, he hands the money, then he pulls out the gun. It's like, what are you doing? What, you paid for the chips and now you're pulling out a gun?
Exactly. It was like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? It's like, I'll do like cash. I just give you. Will you give it back to me? Yeah, that's a ticket.
Well, now that I didn't rob you, I'm gonna rob you.
Right. He could.
This happened in Canada.
There's people are really strange out there. But anyway, alrighty. Well, let's get into our next topic. Yeah. Now, William Lynch was found not guilty of beating his priest. He said they had sexually abused him. He's 44 years old, out in California. He admitted to pummeling the guy because the priest had given him a look. He said that he basically gave him a what was it here? He said
Well,
he
he
kind of
sexually
leered
abused
at
him as a child.
Oh yes, he had sexually abused him as a child, but he said he was I don't know if he said he was just talking to him or whatever, or what exactly had transcribed before that, but he gave him a leer like, yeah, I had you, boy. I had you right there. Uh-huh. And he just lost he said, his head, something in his head, you go, no more. And told him, you take off your glasses, and so he did, punched him in the face. I mean, hey, I don't know if I follow this under revenge, but I think it's justified in this case because and the court agreed because this guy had abused him as a kid, and basically in a way had some kind of power, not power, but I mean, I'm trying to think the best way to describe this. When you have some people do this to someone and you abuse them, and they have a fear inside them that they can't do anything because they feel inferior to this person who's abused them. And he took that away from this priest, that, hey, you are not going to be in control anymore, and I am taking back my life. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, this was, I'm going to say that if I had been in this guy's shoes, that I would probably be sitting there waiting on a murder trial, not just an assault trial for punching the guy.
I know the feeling.
The guy looks up and leers at him, and it's like, okay, this is the guy that brutally raped me when I was 7 years old, and he's got that same look in his eye and that same leer. And you know what? I'm not going to put up with it this time.
Yeah.
I probably would have smacked him with something a lot larger and a lot heavier than my fist.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling.
And I'm glad that it said the prosecutor told him to focus on the assault, not these allegations against the priest that happened all this 35 years ago and stuff. And it's like, no, the jury chose to do what juries are allowed to do, but most people don't know. Juries do not have to follow these instructions that judges often give them that say they can only make judgment on the facts of the case. That is not true. Juries have much more power than people think. Juries have much more power than the judges are allowed to tell them they have. Juries can go in and find that the law didn't actually apply in a particular case, or the law is simply a bad law and they don't want it to apply anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that this jury saw fit to say, we're not going to convict this guy of anything.
Right. And it's what's kind of irritated me on this. It's just that in the story here is that after the brother and him were awarded $625,000 after filing a civil suit against him back in '97, the priest was removed from active ministry and moved to a Jesuit retirement community. I mean, so he was still out there. He could have still done this stuff. He was not charged. He's still, you molested a little boy. Some people found out. Okay, you got
be molesting little boys.
Yeah, he could still be out. He could have still been out there molesting little boys, and we're just gonna move you around, like chess pieces on a board. They're just, little boy. Oh well, we'll put you out somewhere else. Out here, where I live, I go by this one church in the mornings, and they say they have this new electronic billboard on their side, which is the stuff they put on that thing. Anyway. One of the things is, we got a new priest coming in. It's like, I'm thinking, okay, investigate. Where's he coming from, and what's his past history? Will they do that? No. They won't investigate because it's like, he's a man of God, so he must be okay. Medusa, your thoughts?
I'm just, God. Such an ephemeral concept. This is just kind of reminds me of a case in Texas where
Hmm.
I think you're all aware of the case I'm referring to, where the father beat to death
The one that the
man,
kid they got
the-
the priest that was on top of his little daughter. Yeah.
Right, and that's what this case reminds me of, is vindication.
Yeah.
He has been vindicated. I would be up there for murder too. I just wouldn't have pummeled. I would have brought him to ultimate justice and paid the price for it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been a problem at all. Dan, I think you would agree. All of us would agree. But yeah, not charged with anything at all.
Yeah.
It's called vindication. It's called justice.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was like, he's basically taking this the power from the attacker. In this case, it would be the priest, away from him. I mean, if you take that power away from them, then they don't have it over you anymore, and then you can actually breathe. It's like them sitting on your chest.
And you have the power of the community behind you.
Yes.
You've been found vindicated. You've been found not guilty. You can hold your head high. The whole community is behind you.
Mm-hmm.
If that priest walks by you in that community, you hold your head high.
Yeah.
You have been vindicated. You've received complete justice, and that doesn't happen very often.
No, unfortunately, it does not.
It really doesn't happen very often, you guys. So, this is a stunning case for me, and a very righteous case too. That's kind of how I feel about it.
All right, there we go. Joe, your thoughts?
Quick background on this story. The man in this case, William Lynch, when he was 7 years old, he was on a camping trip with this priest, and the priest raped him.
Yes.
And after he raped him, he forced him to have sexual contact with his 4-year-old brother.
Ugh.
So that's the extent of what went down. Flash forward 35 years, and here we have William Lynch. He's a grown man. He decides he's going to confront the priest. He goes to the retirement home where the guy is now living, and he presents him with a confession, and he wants him to sign the confession. And the priest leers at him, like Packard said. He leered at him, just like the night he was raped.
Yeah.
And his response was, "Take your glasses off." And then he decked him.
Yep.
He went in there with one thing on his mind, and that was business, and he took care of business.
Oh, yeah.
And the jury saw it the same way.
Yeah. If he had just signed the confession, said, "Hey, you're right, I did wrong, and if you did wrong, then I'm sorry I did this, and I don't." That might have been a good closer right there. But the guy said, "No, I'm going to." He just gives him the look like, "Oh yeah, like I could do you right now if I wanted to." Like, no, I'm not. No.
Wait. I think he also wanted to publicly humiliate him because the prosecutors gave him the option to take a plea bargain and just spend a year in prison and forget about it. He's like, "No, I want the full trial because I want him to come into a courtroom and explain to me why he did this to me."
Yeah, that would be good.
And then the guy was put on the stand, of course, but then he pled the fifth, but he still got him to come into court. So the whole world knows what happened now.
Yeah, now they do, and it's about time a lot of this stuff came out. Let's get into our next story here. Now, this one here is... I read this, and I was so disgusted. I was just like... I thought nothing about this, but for like over a couple days, just thinking about this, like, why?
This story was really disturbing.
Oh, it was really just... This is probably one of the more disturbing stories we've actually covered here on the show. And we have covered a lot of weird stories on this show. Absolutely. A man, Warren Jeffs, has a cult and is accused of sending a kitten buried alive in concrete to threaten a man who deserted a polygamous sect. This is out in Colorado. Now, it's the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or FLDS. It sounds like a drug. But he left the sect, and he was speaking out against the church, and they have, in the past, they had left dead animals out on his yard for him, it's like, as a warning, don't speak against the church, otherwise this could happen to you. And in one of the instances, they buried a kitten, a poor defenseless cat, in concrete. Now, concrete does not set that fast. You actually have to, if you're going to do something like this, you have to hold that animal in place. What kind of sick SOB has the gall? Say, oh, well, you're just going to have to sit here until this sets. And while this cat is crying and whining, that shows that they have no heart. No, I don't believe anybody has a soul. And these people, if they had a soul, it would have abandoned them, saying, I'm out of here. You're just too crazy even for me. But this is just so disgusting. And the preacher Warren had apparently been sentenced to life imprisonment last year for sexually assaulting 2 underage girls that he supposedly married. So, yeah, it's just so sad. I saw this. There's a video. Unfortunately, the cat passed away a couple of days later, but it is really thoroughly disgusting. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is one of the more disgusting news items, and I think it's. You had mentioned earlier in the week that it reminded you of the case where someone had carved the word liberal into the side of a cat and dumped it on somebody's doorstep in Arkansas who was running for office down there.
Yeah, I remember that one.
These people are despicable scum, and nothing has any meaning for them except themselves and their religion.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's control over women in this particular case.
Yeah.
And anyone who isn't part of their group, well, you can do anything to them. They're not worth the trouble.
Yeah.
I am happy to see that the Justice Department has filed lawsuit against the authorities in Colorado City and other towns where the FLDS dominates, and because obviously there are allegations that they discriminate against non-members of the church, and when the sheriff and the mayor and other city authorities are all members of this cult, well, of course it's going to be a little tiny theocracy that they get to run.
Yeah.
Based on their religious rules. And I'm sorry, that doesn't fly in this country.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the Justice Department, step in and knock some heads.
Yes.
Because if I caught the guy that had done this, I'm afraid, like the last case, I wouldn't be held in jail on an assault charge. It'd probably be murder. Yeah.
And the thing is, when they talked to the sheriffs about this, when they, try to get help for this, they said, and he says, and I quote, he kind of chuckled and laughed a little bit, and he said that if it's up to him, he'd just throw dirt on it. Mr. Chatrin had told right this minute. So I was like, wow, you have no feeling, no compunction of any values. You have no, and you're in charge. You're supposed to be in charge of the law. Take that badge away from that man. He needs to be put away. I mean, at least taken out of office. He does not need to be in charge of anything. Medusa, your thoughts?
This is just one of those things that. How could you do this to me, Packard? I mean, this.
I didn't do it.
I look at the pictures of this poor kitten, and It's just the agony in its face is just too much for me to bear. And I think that people like this should go to jail for life.
I think so too.
I think so too, because I think that it speaks to a darker idiom in their psyche, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If they're going to do that, what are they going to do next?
Yeah.
Because they're always going to want to send a higher message, that darker message, a more frightful message. So where does it all end with people like this? And so I think that it must properly end in jail for life.
Yeah. A lot of these. The thing is, people who do, as I remember reading somewhere many years ago, that people that do stuff like this to animals generally end up becoming serial killers. I mean,
They do.
Jeffrey Dahmer comes to mind because he used to do stuff like this. He would torture animals when he was a kid because poor
You would
supervision.
find roadkill.
Yep, and he would poke
To
at it and
dissect.
do all kinds of weird stuff with it. And the thing is, other people who have been accused or not accused of, but been convicted of becoming serial killers, they had a history of doing stuff like this to animals as well. And I mean, these people in this cult were not far from the tree of that. I mean, I'm not surprised that the cop himself wasn't personally involved in that. That's why he probably chuckled at it. It was like, oh yeah, I knew about that. Oh.
I almost expected to see Rod Serling with a cigarette saying, this is some demented town in another dimension.
Yeah.
You know, in the Twilight Zone.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Thank you. Those are my thoughts right there.
There you go.
And throw away the damn key.
Yes. Joe, your thoughts?
This story really bothered me. I didn't like seeing the pictures of the cat.
I
The
didn't like the
article was
video
well
either.
photographed, and it was very descriptive of how the cat was still alive in the cement. So I pretty much skipped to the end. I wanted to know how it turned out. Rescue workers chiseled away the cement, tried to save the cat. They brought it to an animal shelter, but a few days later it passed away,
Yeah.
which is probably for the best because cement can be caustic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Allowing it to dry on your skin like that can burn it. So as long as the animal is no longer suffering,
Yeah.
and that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the people that did it are assholes.
There you go.
Sorry, I cursed on your podcast.
That's okay. I'm leaving that one because it's exactly it. They are. That's exactly what they are. I mean, these people they should not be allowed to be out walking around in polite society.
No.
And like I said, we have to we cover these stories because people do not realize that religion is a poison in this country, and if they are going to go to their cults every Sunday and think that, oh, God means love, baloney. This is what the result of your God's love sometimes will do to the people who take this stuff way too seriously. And just because there's a small number doesn't mean it's just a cult. All religions are cult. All religions are cults. You just
Right.
because
And
they're just because they're organized doesn't mean that they should be that they should be allowed. I mean, that's just my opinion. But but this is a free country. If you want, believe what you want. But I don't have to respect it, and I will not respect a belief. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and the people who did this don't deserve any protection. Don't deserve protections from the law as far as certain things go. As far as that goes, if I go any further, I'm going to start grabbing my pitchfork and torches and start walking out there. Anyway, oh, went down a dark alley on this one. Well, let's get into our next topic. Our funny tweet this evening comes from, and I had it on my iPad here a second ago. Let's see here. I was too busy thinking about this. All right, the the comes from Skyhawk. It's SKYHAAK. He says, got caught changing F's to P's on my report card. I should have gone with my gut and made them E's. College is hard.
Oh, baby.
With my daughter going off to college, she's like, this resonates. So,
Yeah, but your daughter won't get Fs.
No, she won't get Fs. She better not get Fs. It's a lot of money to waste getting on Fs. But it is Milwaukee, so they got a lot of good stuff down there, and I have yet to go down, and well, I'll be visiting when she's in college and taking the tour. So, all right, well, let's get into our shout out for this evening. Our shout out this evening comes from Joe, and he gave the shout out for fishes with feet.
Woohoo!
That's how do you fish with your feet? I really
No. It's like the Darwin fish that they evolve and they have the little fish on them.
gotcha.
So the fishes with feet.
I had the whole thing in my mind where I see a guy with a fishing pole and is reeling with his feet. You want to tell us a little bit about fishes with feet there, Joe?
Sure. Fishes with feet. His real name is Jay. He's one of the few Twitter atheists I've actually met in real life. He's involved with the New York City Atheists. He's also, he told me he's a little bit involved with the CFI in New York. Mm-hmm. And I went to a couple meetings. I actually met him in real life, and I also met him at the Reason Rally. I only got to hang out with him for a few minutes at the Reason Rally because he was like, yo, is Seth Andrews the thinking atheist here? I was like, oh yeah, I saw him like a few hours ago. He's running around with his camera, and like, boom, Jay was gone. And I didn't see him again the rest of the day. But yeah, Jay is he's originally from Idaho. He was brought up in a really fundy household, and at the Reason Rally, he actually came out to the entire world as an atheist on his Facebook.
Nice.
Including his mom and his grandma and all that kind of stuff.
Who had a heart attack shortly thereafter.
Right. But he's a very prolific tweeter. He's really good on Twitter. He has a blog called fisheswithfeet.blogspot.com.
Cool.
And you should give him a follow. He's a good guy to talk to. He likes to debate the theists. He tweets pictures, links, all sorts of cool stuff. So
nice. All right. Well, if you're out there on Twitter, and if you're not on Twitter, why aren't you? Give Fishes with Feet a follow. That's FISHESWH or WITHFEET. All right. Let's get into our next topic.
Excuse me.
I have a question.
I have a question.
I have a question, sir.
What are you doing? I'm asking you a question.
Our question of the week comes from me this week, and I gave this a lot of thought. I had been really thinking on this because we've been asking all kinds of travel questions, and my travel question is an unusual one. And I want to thank my youngest daughter, for helping me figure this part of it out. All right, here's my question. You're on a ship at sea, and I'm the captain.
Aye, Captain.
Where are we going, and what are we going to do when you get there? When we get there, what? Dan, what are you going to do when we get there? If I'm the captain of the ship, and where are we going?
Oh dear.
Oh gosh. Well, thing of it is, I'd probably
What
be
was the
drowning with the
question
guys
again?
from the Edmund Fitzgerald, consider the way
thanks
things
a
go
lot.
on the technical difficulties. But
I knew that was going to come up. I knew something like that was going to come up. The ship's just going to go down.
So obscure and obtuse. Give me the question again.
Wait a minute, Medusa. Hang on. So we're going to go down like the Edmund Fitzgerald, huh?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Oh, no.
Oh, I always wanted to do that. That's a wreck.
Yeah. All right, Medusa, the question is, we're on a ship at sea, and I'm the captain. Where are we going, and what are you going to do when we get there?
Where are we going?
This is a great question.
I just love hearing Medusa's reaction to it. She's like, oh,
Quite
God.
simply, You are going to take my, excuse me, ass home. Back to Mount Olympus.
There you go. We can go back to. All right, we're heading to Mount Olympus. There we go.
Yeah, via Hades.
There you go.
So bring some coins for the boatman, and don't worry about the dogs. You know, they'll be fed. They're cool, and that's what we're gonna do.
There you go.
You're gonna take me home.
I'm gonna take you home. Okay.
Yes.
Joe, we're at a ship at. I'm at a ship at sea, and I'm the captain. Where are we going, and what are we gonna do when you get there?
Well, if you're the skipper, can I be little buddy?
Sure.
Dan could be the professor. Medusa could be Ginger.
Oh, shh.
I need one of those captain hats so I can hit you in the head with it. When you,
It was only supposed to be a 3-hour tour. Why are we on this island for 15 years?
eating banana cream pies
That's the best one. I love that.
and the coconut cream pies.
Right. Well, if we actually had a ship and we could go anywhere we wanted, I'd want to go to the Galapagos Islands and see Darwin's finches and tortoises and swimming
that'd be-
lizards and stuff like that.
There we go. There we go. That'd be kind of cool. All right.
It would be fun.
Yes, it is. And if we were on a ship at sea and I'm the captain, and since I'm the one that's in charge, I say we go to the Bermuda Triangle just to bust the myth that ships disappear. And of course,
We would never be heard from again.
Man, I just want to go home where there's naked men and wine. You know, olives. Stuff
History
like
Channel would make
that.
a special about it. It'd be like, they were called the Packard Polksat. They sailed into oblivion.
some days, the way the technical difficulties sometimes we have on this show, I almost have to 100% agree with you there.
Lost Flight 19, the Gypsy Rose,
Yes.
and Packard Polksat all became victims of the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh my god.
Oh my. Okay. If you
I'm
have an
the only
answer,
girl.
if you have an answer for the question this week, if you're watching this on YouTube, just put it in the question box in the comment section below, and we'll get it posted here on this show. Oh, this, like I said, I made sure we had a very unusual question this week, so. I thought
It's too bad Todd's not still here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he would have enjoyed that one. Okay, well, that is it for us. Oh, yeah, that's it for us tonight. Finally done. Oh, if you want to reach us on Twitter, and if you're not on Twitter, why aren't you? You can reach Dan on Twitter as...
Rel Unrelated. That's RELUNRELATED.
Right, and if you want to reach Medusa, you can reach Medusa on Twitter as...
Medusa Rants, MEDUSA
Right. If you want to reach Joe on Twitter, you can reach Joe on Twitter as...
Joe Unseen, JOEUNSEEN.
Right.
I forgot my underscore, Packard.
Oh, that's... Well, all right, you want to do yours again?
Yes.
Okay. You can reach Medusa on Twitter as...
Medusa Rants, MEDUSA_RANTZ.
Right, there you go. And you can reach me on Twitter as Packard_Sonic. That's PACKARD_SONIC. You can reach the show notes on the web out at PackardPokesat.wordpress.com. Or if you want to get the show announcements on Twitter, it's PackardPokesat, all one word, no spaces in there. And if you, while you're at the PackardPokesat.wordpress.com page there's a donation button on the lower right side. Well, this side here would be the lower right side if you're looking on your screen. Just press the donation button and put in a few dollars if you could, and it would help keep the show going and hopefully get me some new equipment that doesn't freeze up. Of course, you like to see me freeze up, I'm sure, and we all go glug, glug, glug. No, I'm just kidding. Especially when I'm the captain of the ship at sea.
You know the cruise ship that like hit the rock and tipped over? That's going to be your ship.
There you go. No, I don't want to be that captain because he got charged with a crime because he abandoned ship before everybody else got off board. I want to thank everybody for coming. Join us in the chat room. We had a few new faces in the chat room. A few people that said they were going to come, and they finally got a chance to come out to the show. Thank you for stopping by. And if you want to come to the show, it's at 9 p.m. Friday nights at standard daylight time, or whatever time it is, at 9 o'clock. Just look for Chicago. And at 9 o'clock. And come to justin.tv/PackYourPokesNet, and you can come chat with us for free. It doesn't cost anything. And we enjoy to have you here. This has been Pack Your Pokesnet. We just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.
Nice snap.
Thank you.
It's very manly snap. Very
manly.
masculine.
Very masculine snap.
Yes, that was the Teddy Roosevelt of snaps.
Thank you.
You must be working out.
Working on my snaps.